come lick with your boy, come late. Come and blow some trees with your boy, let's late. We can watch a flick if your boy come late. We can joyride and explore late. Baby, come lick with your boy, come late. Come and blow some trees with your boy, let's late. We can watch a flick if your boy come late. We can joyride and explore.
You're now tuned into Linked Up with Lux.
Yo, what's going on? It's your boy Lux. Today's episode is called The Danger of We Have Time. Now, I know we're all guilty of this, but life is short and we always be pushing things off. We be pushing plans off. We be pushing checking on people off, because we just act like we're going to always have time. I'll text them later. I'll call them later. I'll get back to them later. We'll make plans next week, that's what we do, but we be out here treating, time like it's some sort of infinite resource when honestly, that's the only thing that we're running out of. But we're so programmed to be here to just function and, go to work, go home, go to work, go home, go to work. It's just like we're so programmed and we think that we're so invincible. We think that we will be here forever. We think that we're gonna have next week. We think we're gonna have next month. We think we're gonna have next year. And that's why I be trying to be so big on telling people to just live in the moment. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I get stuck in the cycle of life myself, because you wake up every single day, you gotta go to work. My little brother Cuddy, before he passed, he sent me this video on YouTube, and basically, just to give you a summary, it was this guy and he was pretty much just saying like, hey, you wake up every morning, you go, punch a clock, you sit in traffic though, you sit in traffic for an hour a day or whatever the case may be. You're just wasting time. What do you really want to be doing? Where would you rather be? Rather that's being on a beach, waking up and simply being able to just breathe and not have that stress. That video, it means a lot to me. And when I saw it, I really reflected on it. And at that time, I did make a lot of adjustments to my life because essentially the video was like, hey, you're just another number. Even his elders, we were always told, go to work, go to school, go to work, go to school. But just saying you're just another number. And at the end of the day, when you're dead, you're dead. What was your what are your memories? What did you stand for? What are people going to remember you for? Because when you're gone, you're just going to be a toe tag. And that video really woke me up to kind of just be like, man, that is true. We wake up every single day, we're stressed. We got to go to work. We go to work. Then we have to put on this fake facade and pretend like we care about people and their problems and just sit there all day, 8 hours a day, go home. And then it's just a repetitive cycle. And there's a lot of opportunities that people miss out on simply because they're afraid to break that cycle. They're afraid to break out of the norm, their norm. On a weekend after working Monday through Friday, some people might just be like, hey, I don't do anything. I worked all week. I just want to stay in the house. But there's something going on Saturday. Maybe it's an event, maybe it's a new restaurant opened, or maybe you had the time or got invited to try something new or something recreational. A lot of us, what do? We make excuses. We be like, I worked all week, or maybe next time, or I'll save some money and I'll get to it. But what happens if you die before that happens? What happens when you had that opportunity to go and make a memory with somebody and they die? So I really try to live by not stressing too much and living in a moment. And again, I've been guilty of turning down plans. I've been guilty of blowing people off. I've been guilty of just not wanting to be bothered by anybody. But it's like at the end of the day, if you constantly just act like you're gonna see somebody, you're going to hopefully not, but it's life. Wake up to the reality that that person is no longer available. That person is no longer around. And I dated somebody and she reflected to me because I guess she was talking about, I guess there was a guy that they all went to school with or whatever. So you know how it is when people die, they get on social media and they be like, oh my God, who would have knew? I never would have saw this coming. Oh, I remember when we were this. I remember when we used to hang out. So at that moment, she told me like, yeah, this is why, like, even in a relationship, I don't let my partner, like past tense at that time or even at that moment, saying like that's why she doesn't like to like leave conversations where just open, like not conversations, but like arguments. So say you got into an argument and you got into the car and you sped off. Like she was pretty much just saying like that's how a lot of people died. And I guess from her experience, that's how people have died. Maybe not personally, but I think she was telling me about like one of her friends, I guess, they got into an argument with like, okay, her friend got into an argument with her boyfriend, and then her boyfriend stormed out the house, and then he got into an accident because obviously he's not thinking straight. So the whole point of that was she was just saying like she'd rather just, if you're in an argument, nobody leaves the house, because you never know what can happen. And that's the same thing when it comes to having an argument and you leave the house, just say to go simply to work, right? Like you're arguing in the morning or you're arguing the night before and you guys just don't clear things up. When you leave out the house, you're not saying I love you. You're not giving each other a kiss. You're just like, we're still mad, right? What's going to happen if something happens to your partner? It could be anything. They can get hit by a car. They can, get into an accident, or you never know. Like they can have a medical emergency. And the last conversation that you had with that person was an argument. And that, I know that is crazy. And it's like, if you're going to at least be with someone, and this doesn't even have to be romantic. It can be a friendship as well. Even if you're beefing, still show love. Even if you're having a disagreement, still show love. Still show people you care. Still show appreciation. Still be like, hey, I hope you have a good day. I know we're going through this right now, but be safe. When you have someone that literally prays over you and tells you, hey, be safe, or, when you leave, or when you're just whatever, again, romantic, family, friendship, it doesn't matter. Having those type of people in your life will definitely make you feel better when you're going into the world. Just knowing you have an angel who's literally praying, well, not a literal angel, but you know what I'm saying, like someone that's praying for you, someone that's wishing good things, for you. That's an amazing feeling. So like all of those petty arguments and things like that, sometimes it's not worth it to take it outside of the house or to linger it. And I get it. I'm not saying you gotta be instantly forgiving right away and be like, hey, I'm leaving the house now, let me forget everything. But if it's possible, that should be something that, you work towards. I'm just saying, it's just a little crazy. But, we just constantly tell people like, hey, I'll text you back later, back to the main topic, like we'll try to figure out some plans and things like that. And I get it. Sometimes we just don't be in the mood to be trying to be around people and things like that. And that's okay. That's fine. That's absolutely okay. But again, life is very short. And you got to think, most of the time, the last chance to love somebody, it looks like an ordinary day. It's not like there's a, alert on your phone that pops up and says, hey, today's the last day you better love this person because you're not going to have that opportunity later. It's just like when a relationship ends, rather like it's a breakup, a falling out, or someone passing away. It rarely happens during a massive cinematic movie moment. It happens on a random afternoon or night or morning. You get that call, hey, so-and-so is, or have you heard from so-and-so? And it's crazy, it is very crazy. You just never know when that last moment will be with someone. That's why you should always appreciate every single moment. And, some people try to go days on end without communicating with people they claim that they love. That's crazy. That's not real love. You don't really care about that person. You don't really truly want the best for that person, because how can you go 24 hours without checking on someone that you claim that you love? But again, that's a general statement. We're talking more so romantic in that sense, but it also comes down to, long distance friendships and family, relationships and things like that, because obviously, not a lot of people talk to their family every single day. But the main point that I'm trying to emphasize is that you need to literally make time for yourself, most importantly, but everybody else around you. I've lost people in my life that I never would have expected I would have lost. I'm talking about people I grew up with, old childhood friends and things like that. And unfortunately, with life, it just continues to goes on. Everybody grieves differently. Some people, they process their emotions differently. Some people, they literally go into a deep, dark depression. And some people, they just literally move on with life and just, they never address, the trauma behind losing somebody. They just go on and go on. And that's the problem with life. That's no different from waking up every single day and going to work every single day. We're acting like we're okay. We're acting like everything is fine. We're acting like, hey, it's life. It happens. But deep down inside, we never spoke to anybody about the trauma that comes from losing someone that we never thought we would, lose, especially when we feel a little guilty in terms of like, man, if I called them that day, would they have prevented X, Y, and Z? If I checked on them, if I just sent them a text, if I just sent them, whatever, like, if could I have been that person to have prevented tragedy? And it's the same thing when it goes to when someone dies again. And maybe you were supposed to hang out with that person. Maybe you did have plans. Maybe you, told them, hey, I'll get back to you next week. And then next week happens. And guess what? They're no longer here. That's a crazy feeling, or you were so caught up in your head in the moment, you didn't even see the signs. So then you start to blame yourself. You start to feel like you had something to do with it, or like you could have prevented death. You could have prevented tragedy. You could have prevented something that was unwanted, even if it wasn't as extreme as death. You could have prevented whatever. It's a horrible feeling to have to live with. And it's just, it is what it is. It's just, you got to keep on pushing. But it's just, we always think we're going to have time. We can do it next week. We can do it next month. I'll do this. I'll text. I'll call. I get it. Life is hectic. But if you got to hesitate and think about, should I try to text them back later? Just text them. Even if it's random, check on people, obviously if it's mutual. But even then, if you can sense that someone's going through someone, it might not be mutual. Maybe you have to be that, angel and that protector for someone else who clearly feels like they don't have an outlet, or maybe they are so beneath their problems, they're drowning, like a simple text from you could literally save somebody's life. I'm just saying. A simple text from you can literally save somebody's life, So just in life, when you're navigating through it, just slow down a bit. I know life is crazy. I know we all got our own problems going on, but sometimes we just have to sit back and literally reflect on everything. We literally have to reflect on everything. But most importantly, you got to give flowers now to people that you love. People want to be loved while they're still here. So yeah, if there's one major thing I want you to take away from this entire episode, is that you cannot wait to show people how much they mean to you. We all want to be loved while we're actually here to feel it, not when it's too late, because we easily can sit here and get caught up with life, and we're putting our own problems above everything else, and we're too blind to see what's going on around us. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to get caught up with that daily grind, and just assume like we have an endless amount of tomorrows. But that's the farthest thing from the truth. I promise you. It's the farthest thing from the truth, but it's just a dangerous game to play in general because we just walk around waiting for some big dramatic warning sign before we decide to put the effort in. But the reality is, the last time that you probably get to connect with someone, it usually just looks like a completely ordinary day. You don't want to live your life in a reactive state where it literally takes a crisis or a harsh argument or a massive loss to finally wake up and make you appreciate the people sitting right in front of you, especially when they are still here today. So stop saving your best energy, Stop saving your deepest vulnerability and your loudest appreciation, for a perfect, air quote, moment that might not actually ever come. Give them their flowers today. Give your partner a compliment if you genuinely mean it, not if you don't mean it, but we simply just go on with life every single day, autopilot, we don't take the time to say, hey, babe, you're beautiful, or I just want to let you know I appreciate you, or, we literally navigate life with each other every single day, but I just wanted to let you know that I do genuinely appreciate you. I want to take you out. Instead, we just merge with people and we just go on with life. We go on with life. All of that cute stuff that we did in the beginning of a relationship, it just becomes background noise. All that cute stuff, ooh, you're sexy, you're fine, you're this, you're that, ooh, boo, babe, ooh, want to make you my wife, all of this, woo, woo, all of that sizzles because we put this mask over it and we just continue to go on with life. And now it's just work, stress, bills, relationship, work, stress, bills, relationship. And it shouldn't be like that at all. So appreciate people while you're here. Same thing with family. If your mom's still here, your grandma's still here, give them a call. Enjoy that moment, cherish that moment, and cherish that conversation. Ask questions that you never asked before, that you wouldn't want to know. But if you didn't have that opportunity to know, you would regret it and be like, man, I should have asked, even if it's about your childhood or the family or, things that they like to do or how were they when they were younger. Like, retain all of that information from people that you get around you and just simply appreciate them, especially if they looked out for you. So give them their flowers today. Tell them exactly, what they mean to you right now and make these ordinary days count, because at the end of the day, that is honestly all we really have. That's all I got to say. Life is short, and I know we got to do what we got to do in the moment, work and all of this, and we're stressing about this and stressing about that, because I did emphasize, what my little brother told me in that video he sent me. But that video definitely meant a lot to me for sure, because it opened up my eyes. It made me want more out of life and not to get caught up in my reality, which was having to work for people. But just by watching that video, it made me be more spontaneous. I took more trips. I didn't care about, when you get a job, they always try to make it seem like you can't take off randomly. You got to let us know a whole year in advance. Yeah, here's my month notice that I'll be taking off the next Saturday and I'll be in Cali. I don't care. Life is short. Jobs come and go. I know it's stressful when you don't know how you're going to pay for things and you're just trying to do what you got to do to stay in good grace with your employer. But understand that at the end of the day, if you were to die the moment you walked out of your job, would it matter? If you were to die literally after you saved up all of this money for many years because you wanted to be secure and you died right before you got to spend it or buy something that you really wanted, would it matter? It wouldn't matter. And I'm not saying go and be irresponsible and spend all your money and run up your credit cards, but it doesn't matter when you die. Think about it. Does it truly matter when you die? So be responsible. Stop turning down opportunities. Be smart. I'm not saying you should, take every opportunity, because every opportunity is not a good opportunity, but enjoy life, mingle with people, hang out with friends, clearly be aware of your surroundings, be aware of your people you call friends and all of that, because you can't trust everybody, but be smart, protect yourself, and most importantly, live your life. Live your life. And if you're dating someone, tell them that you appreciate them if you genuinely do mean it, because sometimes we just go on and go on and go on and go on, and we don't really take the time to be like, hey, let me pull you aside. I'm glad that you chose me to be your person. I'm glad that we're doing this life thing together. I'm glad that I met you. I'm glad that you put up with me sometimes when I'm being difficult. I'm appreciative that you cook for me here and there, or whatever the case may be. I appreciate you washing my clothes, whatever it is. Don't make things small. Don't make any gesture that anyone does for you small. Because regardless of it being routine, or you think that's what they're supposed to do, or you think this is just the norm, it can easily be taken away. So don't make them feel like you don't appreciate them, and actually appreciate them. It's your boy Lux. I'm out.